running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. My life laid down, I'm surrendered now. I give you everything. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. My life laid down, I'm surrendered now. I give you everything. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. And all my life you have been faithful. And all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. And all my life you have been faithful. And all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. I will sing of the goodness of God. 어렵네요.
우리 리드싱어 하나 또 생겼습니다. Very good, very good. 좋아요, 좋아. 아주 좋아요. 오케이. 연습하고 이제 딱 타이거 되면은 야 목소리 좋은데 아 이거
그래도 수영형제가 리드 싱어를 해야 되겠어요. 목소리가 너무 좋아.
Familiar with the 10.
Should I have my mask on or is it okay? I'm 6 feet away.
I will sit in the corner right here.
Okay. Isolation pew.
It's okay.
I'm
I'm getting more used to it. Perfect. more louder. Okay. All right. I will begin. Okay. 지난번째 모임에서 성경이란 무엇인가에 대하여 전반적인 이야기를 배웠습니다. 하나님께서 저지를 창조하신 후에 사람을 만드시고 사람에게 하나님이 창조하신 세상을 다스리게 하셨습니다. 하지만 사람들이 하나님의 뜻을 거역하였으므로 세상에는 죄가 들어왔습니다. 그래서 하나님께서 인간을 다시 구원하시기 원하여 인간과 하나님 사이에 언약을 맺으시는 것입니다. 언약을 맺은 일은 옛날에는 많이 들었던 것입니다. 언약으로 동맹을 맺은 사람들은 약속한 사항을 꼭 지켜야 하는 것입니다. 이 약속한 사항들이 다른 나라들에게 우리가 언약으로 하나님과 동맹을 맺은 사람들이라는 것을 보여주게 됩니다. 하나님과의 언약에서 약속한 사항들은 아주 중요한 것입니다. 그것은 the law, 율법 또는 하나님의 법이라고 부릅니다. 그런데 왜 하나님의 법이 그렇게 중요할까요? 율법은 하나님을 사랑하는 사람들이 어떻게 살아가야 되는지를 보여주는 것입니다. 율법을 통해 하나님의 언약 안에 있는 백성들은 하나님의 창조하신 온 세상에 하나님이 어떤 분이신지를 보여주며 살아야 하는 것입니다. 만약에 그 하나님의 언약의 백성들이 다른 세상이란 똑같은 죄악을 행하고 산다면 이 세상은 전혀 변하지 않을 것입니다. 그래서 율법은 잘 지켜져야 율법은 잘 지켜져야 죄송합니다. 지켜져야만 하는 것입니다. 하지만 인간이 하나님의 영이신 성령의 인도함을 받지 못하면 여전히 우리는 하나님을 거역한 아담과 같을 뿐입니다. 우리가 성전하려면 음식과 물이 필요합니다. 그것들이 없으면 우리는 죽을 것입니다. 인간은 하나님의 모양으로 만들어져서 각자에게는 하나님으로부터 받은 고유한 가치가 있지만 그럼에도 불구하는 우리의 생존 본능은 두려움과 탐욕 가운데 살아가게 만듭니다. 이것이 바로 성경의 로마서 7장에서 말하는 우리가 여전히 육신과 아담 안에 있음을 의미하는 것입니다. 때로는 하나님이 원하시는 방식으로 생활하려면 하나님의 창조하신 세상의 다른 사람들을 돕기 위해 우리의 필요한 것들을 포기해야 할 때도 있습니다. 사람은 하나님이 우리에게 원하시는 우리의 삶의 최우선의 삶의 방법이 것입니다. 인간은 사랑할 수 있습니다. 그러나 우리는 완전한 사랑을 할 수 없습니다. 완전하게 사랑할 수 있는 사람은 오직 예수님 뿐입니다. 그러므로 그 하나님의 법을 온전히 지킬 수 있는 분은 예수님 뿐이십니다. 예수님께서 하신 일을 더 많이 이해하려면 하나님의 법을 더 많이 이해해야 합니다. 그래서 오늘의 비디오는 율법, 즉 하나님의 법에 대하여 가르쳐 줄 것입니다.
With the 10 commandments in the Bible, stuff we generally take as good advice. Don't murder, don't steal, honor your parents, the list goes on.
And those are just the first 10. There are actually a total of 613 commands, all given to ancient Israel, found in the first 5 books of the Bible, which in Hebrew are called the Torah.
Now, the word Torah is usually translated in English as the law, because it has all of these laws in it. And as you read through them, you wonder, am I supposed to obey some of these, all of these? I mean, what's the purpose of the law?
Well, that translation is kind of confusing because while the Torah has laws in it, the book itself is fundamentally a story about how God is creating new kinds of people who are fully able to love God and love others. And when Jesus taught about the Torah, he said that he was bringing that story to its fulfillment.
So, walk me through the story and how it's fulfilled.
So the story begins with God creating humanity who rebels. And God chooses Abraham to bless all of the nations through his family, who end up in slavery down in Egypt, and so God rescues them. Then at Mount Sinai, God makes a covenant with Israel, like an agreement. And all of the laws that Moses gives to Israel are the terms of that agreement. They're like a constitution. And so some of the laws, they're about rituals and customs that set Israel apart from the nations. Other laws are about social justice or morality. And by following these, Israel would show the other nations what God is like.
Okay, so the rest of the Torah is just the complete list of laws that Moses gives Israel?
No, the rest of the Torah just continues the story. And the 613 commands are only a selection from that original constitution. And even these have been broken up and placed at strategic points within the story. Now pay attention, because you'll see a really clear pattern. Moses gives the first laws to Israel.
Yeah, don't worship other gods, don't make idols.
And then right after that, there's a story of Israel breaking those very laws.
Yeah, they worship the golden calf.
And so Moses gives some more laws, and then you get more stories of rebellion. Some more laws, rebellion again, some more laws, more rebellion, and you start to see the point.
Right, no matter how many laws, they're just going to continue to rebel.
So at the conclusion of the Torah's story, Moses gives this final speech to Israel as they prepare to go into their new home. And he tells them, you guys, I know that you're not going to follow all of God's laws. You've proven to me that you're incapable. And Moses says the problem is that their hearts are hard and that they're going to need new, transformed hearts if they're ever going to truly follow God's law. And he was right. I mean, the story goes on to recount Israel's total failure.
They go into the land, they break all the laws.
Right. Now, the next section of books in the Jewish tradition are the 15 books of the prophets, and they reflect back on the story. For example, Ezekiel, he said that if Israel was ever going to obey the law, God's Spirit would have to transform their hard hearts into soft hearts. And Jeremiah said that's when obedience to God's commands wouldn't feel like a duty, but they would be written deep in their hearts. And Isaiah, he promised a future leader, Israel's Messiah, who will lead all of the people in obedience to the law. Now, in Jewish tradition, all of these books together are called the prophets, even the historical books, because they're continuing the story told from the perspective of the prophets.
Okay, so we have the law and the prophets, and they're telling one connected story about God's desire to bless the whole world through a people, Israel, who it turns out needs a new heart.
Yes, and Jesus saw himself as continuing that story. So he agreed with the law and the prophets when he taught that it's out of the human heart that come the most ugly parts of human nature. It's like the default setting of our hearts is opposed to God's law. But Jesus also said that he came to solve that problem, and in his words, to fulfill the law.
So what does he mean there, to fulfill the law?
Well, first he said that the demand of all of the laws in the Torah could be fulfilled by what he called the Great Command, that we are to love God and to love others.
So that seems pretty easy. I mean, we all want to love.
Well, we think we want to love. But Jesus showed how love is far more demanding than we realize. So he quotes the law, do not murder. And he says, yes, not killing someone is a very loving thing to do. But then he also says that when you treat someone with disrespect or when you nurse resentment against them, you're also violating God's moral ideal because you're not treating that person with love. And so Jesus said true love ought to extend even to our own enemies. So even though this command seems very simple, Jesus showed how our hearts are not currently equipped to fulfill even this basic command of God to love others.
And that's kind of a downer.
But where Israel failed, Jesus brought this story to its fulfillment. As Israel's Messiah, he fully loved God and others, and he showed all of the nations what God is truly like. He did this through his acts of compassion and mercy, and ultimately by loving his enemies even unto death. And after his resurrection, he told his followers that he would send God's Spirit to transform their hearts so that they could follow him and fulfill the purpose of the law, to love God and to love their neighbor. So this fulfills the story of the law and the prophets, or in the words of the Apostle Paul, the one who loves fulfills the law. This video was made possible by over 1,300 people who chipped in, and most of those are monthly givers to the Bible Project. Thank you guys so much.
We make a lot of videos like this one that trace a biblical theme from the beginning to the end of Scripture.
We're also making videos